What's going on, crew? This is your man Sleepy. Just wanted to give a quick shout out that if you're digging the content on our channel, please think about clicking that subscribe button and make sure to hit that like button below if you enjoyed this video to let us know what content you want to see more of. Hey, what up everyone out there? It's your boys at the Project WEBTOONs podcast here, coming with a new relevant ramblings to discuss our thoughts on the adaptation of Sweet Home. As always, if you haven't done it yet, please go ahead and subscribe to us so you can get notified of all our new content as it rolls out. But without further ado, to jump in, it is your big dog, it is Sleepy.
It's your boy Seraph here.
And this is Dr. Dragoon.
Hey. Ark's taking himself a little bit of a sabbatical on the pictures
No,
right
just
now.
tell us the truth. Just tell them the truth. I'm playing Path of Exile.
He's playing Path of Exile. He just wants to game right now. It's it is close to the special time of the year for him right now, so you know.
The dragon needs to run these leagues.
I'm behind on farming, so
he's got to run. He's got to get that farm set up. You know, no one else is gonna build that town without him. But we wanted to get together and actually, as a group, discuss our thoughts and opinions on the adaptation for Sweet Home. I know that we made a rambling about it way back when. I believe it was me and you, Seraph. We did that where we talked about, you know, the announcement for them doing the adaptation, as well as like the casting that we saw so far at that point. And we had, I think we had like some high expectations, or at least some good ones. Just because like the story had just ended right around that point too, I think, when the adaptation was announced. So we were hoping like, okay, if they've got a full out story, we don't have to do that the anime thing where they're doing it side by side and then all of a sudden the anime surpasses and they just do the whole, oh, we'll just come up with it on our own. But yeah,
had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, we'll definitely get to that point of the discussion here when we get there. We have some words to share on everything that occurred in it. Well, some of us will have more than others, but yeah. So to any newcomers that are coming in for the first time to the series, if you haven't read the webtoon, definitely go check it out. It is right now completed, so you can read, I think, 2 chapters a day for free, and then you have to buy the rest if you want to continue in that time frame. But it was created by Young Chun Hung and illustrated by Carnaby Kim. They're the duo that also did another webtoon called Bastard, which kind of looks like the exact same style all the way through. The webtoon is 141 issues.
Out there,
yeah, it's 141 issues. Yeah. It's 141 issues. I just looked it up. But yeah, so I think if you want to, we do have another rambling on our opinion of the end of that as well. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. I think that Seraph and I agreed that we were cool with it, and it was Ark that had a problem with the end overall.
Yeah.
But you know what? Honestly, after watching this, I think I like that ending that we got in the webtoon way more.
No. Yes, that's 2 separate things. So.
It doesn't matter. I accept that one way more. I'm like, no, I like this one better. Mm-hmm. This shows you exactly what happens when you're like, oh, I didn't like this. Someone else can fix it. No. Someone else can make this far worse if they want to. But yeah. For the adaptation, I wanted to start off on a few things here. Mainly to start off is with the characters in the cast that we got. I will say I think the casting choices they got and how they portray.
Wait! Before we do this, we are assuming that you've watched the show, and if you haven't, spoilers are ahead, obviously.
I mean, I would hope you could catch that from the title and everything about the video. I mean, I'd hope. Better yet, I will go back and I will make sure to put like spoiler warnings on certain spots. We will discuss that.
Better yet, here, just the TLDR. If you don't want to listen to it, let's just really quickly. I thought it was a 5 out of 10. Just really quickly, so that if you don't want to hear spoilers after this, It's a 5 out of 10.
Okay,
I give it a 7.
I'll give it a 6.5. All right.
All right.
So
The
now that we
rest
got all
score.
the scores out of the way, jeez.
Well, I mean, like it's better to get the scores out of the way so that the people.
So the
watching
people
this
can
will
just
be
like just.
especially if they haven't even watched it yet. They'll be like, "All right, cool. No, I'm not gonna watch it."
Yeah, you just fuck off. Oh, come on. You gotta make them go through the whole thing so they can get to the end and just be like, oh, now they gave me the scores.
I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it's very amazing either.
All right.
It's just very
It's mediocre.
It's mediocre. Well, okay. Well, let's go into some of the goods that we got from it. Just overall with the characters. How did we enjoy the cast that they chose? I think they actually did fairly well.
I
for
mean, no,
each
I
one
like
of
the
them.
cast. Like
Oh,
I
the
said,
cast
you know,
did a
like
great job.
they have children actors and the kids are really done well.
They
so
didn't
fine.
ruin it. The children
Yeah.
didn't make me hate them right away. Like, post-apocalypse, why aren't you dead yet?
I only kind of have a problem later on with the kids, but I feel like that was the writing and not because of the kids
I don't think it was the
acting,
kids
though, right?
acting. At
Yeah,
all.
it was because of the writing for sure. Not
Okay,
Really the
um,
because they did a really good job regardless. Those two little kids.
Yeah. I think that they got perfect actors for each one of the roles for the characters that we have in the webtoon, as well as portraying each one of their personalities that we overall had. I think everyone spot on played exactly how I would think that should be done from that Adaptation 101. I also think visually they got everyone to match up like their characters as well, so that everyone kind of like, I didn't have to constantly wait for them to say the name to kind of like, okay, is that so and so? Because there was subtle changes to some of the characters for sure.
Some characters were cut. Some characters were kind of like merged together.
Some characters were merged. Some characters were cut. Some characters, like overall stories, swapped places.
I did not understand the point of having like extras in the background, because like the scenes were like they were like sitting together eating and then they were like extras. I was like, none of you are important to the story. Why are you here?
Well, I mean, there's some characters in there that were background fodder that got, taken out. It's fine. They needed that.
In the webtoon, we only got like 10 characters. In this one, you see like 20. I'm like, huh?
There's other people that got to survive in this that we didn't see. That's all there is. So I think that all the characters perfectly fit up really well. Some of the trait changes I was a little skeptical on. I don't know if that was just because they didn't want to portray that on the screen, especially for I'm trying to remember what's her name, one girl that ends up dying just before the end of the whole series. I know Ark had that problem with her getting taken out.
Yeah,
like she got completely changed around, and she wasn't like she is in the adaptation, or what she is in the webtoon. That was one. I'm like, I don't know if that's probably like they didn't want to like just have a female character that just really everyone hates on, kind of thing. So
no. See, that's the concern. Where like I was like, oh, as soon as we found out that, okay, heads up, there's going to be a second season. There's no way there's not going to be a second season. And I was like, are we just leaving her, like, the hatred towards this character for the second season? Is that what we're doing? Because
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's very well plausible for that on all levels. So those few changes, if for people coming over from the webtoons, will notice a lot of those. Newcomers won't pick that up, and they won't have a real problem attaching to any of the characters in any way. I think everyone that is, I think everyone actually gets more main character talk time than they did in the webtoon, so you actually get more of their personalities all the way through. Since a lot of those characters end up like getting offed pretty early on in the comic. So they had to kind of expand on who they were a little bit more in here. But the overall differences, I think, are pretty negligible. I don't know if either of you two picked up on any of the big differences from characters that you liked or didn't like.
no, there wasn't anything particular about any of the characters themselves that I didn't like.
Okay. Seraph, how did you...
With how the story was written, not with like the characters themselves.
Seraph, I know you and I had a big high five for Old Man in the comic, because
Old dude, hey,
Old
he
Dude
was
was a
gonna
constant G.
Hey man, he was thugging it out.
I mean, I think it was Art who pointed out in this. The old man was from it is a pretty well known actor. He's from quite a few other films, and yeah, to get a star character for him, I think was probably the wisest choice. Because yeah, when he showed up, I was just like, oh, okay, it's old man. I know what he's about to do. Mm-hmm. It was good seeing him on screen for sure. Now the actual series, the adaptation here, does have an additional character that isn't in the webtoon, and that is Seo Yi Kong, the firefighter.
Yep.
How do we feel about her addition into the story? Because she brought in a completely different element that is not at all in the webtoon.
Yeah,
Do we feel like that addition is what probably caused a lot of the other changes?
No.
Because, I mean, it's only because of her really that like the military is kind of involved in this, and then also the addition of all of that.
Okay, so the biggest difference between the webtoon and then to the adaptation is this: the government is fully aware of like how the monsters work, and all the exposition as to like how the monsters work come through the government themselves and not the people.
The discovery by the individuals, yeah,
the individuals, and that's the biggest difference, which I kind of had a problem with, because I was like, the part of it is like the mystery unfolding as to what they are, instead of like, I think it's like the second or third episode that they immediately announced from like via exposition from the president that like, oh no, it's the human desire that makes you a monster, and not like
they straight up tell them it's like it's desire based, and they give them all the symptoms of it occurring, and they tell them exactly like the point in which they can be killed. They call it golden hour, and they even bring up the whole thing is like anyone that's actually monstrified has to be burned. You know, they tell them pretty much exactly how to handle the situation. This is Shaun of the Dead on the TV screen, just like destroy the head, remove the all of that, just real like, this is how you do it. All right, go.
And I kind of had a problem with like how first that exposition was done, but eventually when you do tie it in as to like, you figured out that, oh no, this was already happening earlier than this, and that like the firefighter's fiance was the one who figured it out like days beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm fine with this connection. If there was a reason for this like Chekhov's gun, fine. I'm fine with her being the connection to this. Okay, cool. Can we like, what are we going to do with this exactly? And that's the bit that I had a problem with.
Well, that's one of them. Well, just in the addition of like this now, like how do you feel between the actual these two versions?
She's not a bad character, so like I'm not sad with like her inclusion. Like I'm like, she's a good character, even if she wasn't, like muscle mommy. Fine, cool, all right. Like, she's a good-looking actress. Great, that's fine. But like the addition of her,
shot of the abs.
Yeah, the addition of her did not make or break the show, though.
No, I don't think it did. I'm more wondering if the addition of like of them removing that mystery that they had between the webtoon and this, where most of this knowledge they all learn or have to come into as they're dealing with the monsters, which actually added in a lot of the tension that the webtoon has, whereas this one they're just straight up told, all right, this is how you handle this if you come across it, so they don't have to go through any of that anymore.
Which, okay, so that bit bothered me, as in like after they are instructed this way, they still don't believe it, Ali. Do you know what I mean? Like they still went out of the way to like do things outside of that.
They still did very like questionably intelligent things.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. Was it? No, it's like episode 3 when the one girl shows up, because the daycare lady is screaming about how her daughter is outside, And then I think it's like around
Okay.
episode 3 where
How did
that
her daughter
happens.
survive that many days out there by herself? I was so confused when I was like, oh, her daughter's just dead out there, right? Like that's what I assumed the entire time. And suddenly it's like,
Yeah, I was very confused about that.
I'd say
too,
we'll
like,
get into that when we get into pros and cons and some other things.
was she
because
hiding? Was she
for
not?
sure.
How did she get from where she was at the moment
There-
all the way back for like 5 days without food? You know.
There's definitely some different world building elements that I'm like confused on by that. But no, just like overall, I was saying on there is that, you know, like when that event occurred and she's just, and a lot of them are just like desperately doing random dumb things, but they don't do any of the things that they're instructed to. Like, oh yeah, no one brings fire, no one brings any like thing to protect them from it. They just blatantly run out and into the foyer, and I'm like,
they still
why?
blatantly did it as like a zombie infection afterwards. When,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
after they're instructed how to deal with it, they still just treat it as in like a zombie infection. I was like, no, you already know how this works. You literally were told how this works, and instead of that, you'd be like, no, I'm still going to do it my way via zombie infection. I was like, but
well,
why?
I mean, in what way do you say that they treated it like a zombie infection? Do you mean like the quarantine thing?
The quarantine thing,
They
oh,
are
no,
instructed in the video to like quarantine anybody.
no. Oh no, you've been bitten by one. You must be becoming a monster. Like,
Oh, okay.
you were instructed that that's not how this works. Why are you doing this?
Yeah. It's hard to say with how much the characters, how much is it supposed to be portraying the characters from the webtoon to how much it's portraying them from this actual version, because like even then, you know, they do get broadcast in the webtoon of random bits, but it's not from the military or anything. It's just like a newscast that comes in and out every so often. So they have broken information. So it's kind of in the same vein that they're playing it in that manner where they don't have all the info. They have some of it, so they just kind of piece what they want together. But we're here, they're literally told, and they still kind of act like I don't understand 100% if that's, you know, how that all could work out, or they just add their own logic on top of it. Like, even though I know it works on desire, well, you still could possibly get it if you're bit or hurt by one. Let's just go with that as well. Why not have that? Yeah, some of the logic falls through on a lot of those levels. But yeah, I just think also with that added addition of having this other character and then having her connected via with the military, and then her fiance being directly knowing exactly what was going on and him documenting it before either he gets captured by the military or he runs out and
he was captured.
We know
he was captured by them.
Yeah.
And
okay,
killed.
well, I don't know if he was captured and killed, or if he was captured and researched on, if he was like he went to them and then they were like, oh, you know more than, and then they decided to just detain him. But yeah, having that extra element where, as in the webtoon, we're like 100% in the dark exactly how this whole thing even works. In that also plays into the other aspect that I missed from the webtoon, for sure, is the voices, the main characters' voices. They completely really removed them. The first,
you see
he
him
doesn't appear in the first episode. The first 2, 3, and 4 he appears.
Yeah, I think you see him twice. Right?
Yeah, there's a few times you see him.
You see him like 3 times, but you hear him talk twice.
Yeah, but they added that, and then they removed it, and I figured, oh well, they would have to remove him because the point of him being there, outside of taunting the main character, he's also feeding us information about, you know, what these creatures actually are. But since the military just broadcast all that info, this would just be a, you know, just rehashing old data if we were to do it that way. So yeah, he serves no purpose. And I felt real bad on that because I was like, oh, that sucked. He was an interesting character, and it was a character that like the MC struggles and battles with the entire time. And you know, you figure that also because the main character does this, the other people who are going to start to Monster Fire are also going to do the same thing. We're going to get the inner psyche thing from them, but we never actually see the voices happen with anybody else other than the MC in this adaptation.
No, and that's why I thought that the part when what's her name, the beaten wife, when she goes and apologizes to him, I thought she was going to say something like, oh, I hear the voices too, and I completely understand where you're coming from now. But she doesn't say that, and I was like, I feel like you missed a perfectly good point here to have her understand what his struggles actually are.
Yeah.
And not like where like I felt like when she was apologizing, her apologies to him wasn't like, oh, I understand that you are a monster now. No, it was more like, oh, I understand that we treated you poorly as a monster. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Well, I think that loss between them, because it's only, who is it? Him, the old lady, Desuk, and the old lady's husband are the only ones that we see start to monsterify in this, really.
No, Glass is also becoming.
Well, no. I mean, as in to the point where we actually get to see them, and they get like, they start going through the transition, and they hear the voices and everything. At least within the adaptation that we see so far. But in the webtoon, a few more other people go through it. And granted, they react differently, but, you know, because more people it ends up happening to more people, you know, he can get more of that sympathy there. Whereas here, all of that is removed. So, I mean, they lock up Homeboy, and then he's literally gone until he transforms fully.
Yeah, they lock him up.
Yeah, they lock him up, and they completely remove his thing from the rest of the webtoon.
They lock up the main character of the story, and they have it where the only time we get to see him is when he's going in and out, and then we don't even get to see what he does. It's just all in the background, and you're just like, okay, so what is he going to go do? When at what point did what's her name ask him to go get her diary or something? Like when did these people ask of him to go get things for them, right? Like, I was like, oh, I'm missing this interaction. If you're going to at least have him go do things like this, I'm missing this interaction.
Yeah. I guess what I'm getting at here is it just more or less anything. How did you all feel about the differences to the actual adaptation itself? Like,
again, I would not have any problem with the changes if the changes actually served a purpose.
I mean, that's how you normally feel about all adaptations, so
right. So like I said, I was not actually harmed by the addition of the firefighter, because she didn't actually hurt the story, and like technically the way they added her, she served a purpose with like how they changed it. Okay, she served a purpose because she was the connection as to like, oh hey, this is how the government already knew beforehand as to what everything was. Fine, there's a purpose to her, cool. But then after discovering this purpose, then it was like, what purpose now do you serve? And that bit I kind of had a problem with.
She had little use beyond that. After it's like, oh, okay, this is what your whole arc led up to, but now it's like, okay, what do you do with this? Nothing for the rest of the story, unfortunately. How do you guys?
And then the rest of the changes, which ended up being like, you know,
personal character changes.
I'm perfectly fine with like not having what's her name to be hated on, because I was like, I don't think it would have made that much a difference with like where we were going with this story. I thought she ended up just being more like she was like that nosy neighbor in the apartment who like knew everything.
She knows everything,
and you're like, okay, cool, you know everything, right? What's his name? Who you kept on calling Kuwabara?
The pretty boy.
Yeah, the pretty boy.
I hate that he didn't monsterify.
I was kind of upset with the fact that like, yeah, he didn't monsterify, but like he was technically a monster anyways in the end, because he was the one who betrayed everyone. And I was like, are none of you even upset that he betrayed all of you? Like, because like when they're like, oh yeah, I was the one who pressed the homing beacon and I was carrying it with me the entire time, and I was like, then what was the point of you guys hiding in the fucking caves? I'm so confused. When he knew they had like they were like tracking him down the entire time.
Well, like, they didn't know they were tracking them until that very point when they came out.
Yeah, but then I would not have like let him onto the fucking truck. I'm like, no, you go get on a fucking different truck. Fuck you, asshole. Like you go away. Fuck you.
Well, I don't think any of the other tenants cared as much or knew that this was a betrayal, because I mean, that's one thing they at least keep same within the comic in this, is that, you know, the dispersive information is definitely like hidden from a lot of other characters, so that's kind of one point where it keeps between that drama where, you know, Glasses seems to know more about things, and he's always distrusting of things and always taking the information, but he doesn't share it with everybody. So, you know, I don't think that they would react in that way, like, oh, this is a hot betrayal, because, you know, they think, oh, well, the military is here and they saw the flyers, you know, they're like, oh, the military is going to save us. They've been gracious about it. So I think it would be only like those few characters that would be like, oh, that guy's a piece of shit. But yeah, speaking of Glasses here, how did we like his differences between this? I know that you and I had a discussion about this earlier, and I still think he's more of a dick in this because they show him to be a dick, and that's also because he is he's introduced earlier. All of the characters are introduced earlier than they are in the webtoon because we follow the MC and it's all from his perspective more in the beginning. Rather, we're here, everyone is shown off in their own moments.
Yes. As such, you don't get to have the moments of like building the empathy to like realize what's going, like to like, oh hey, to settle in as to what the situation is actually happening before that character is introduced.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't particularly like, I don't hate the changes they did to him, because I don't think the only thing I was kind of immersed with was like they could have at least hinted at some point that he was like already monster fighting earlier on or something, like that's all I needed, I think, from his character.
I think that probably would have been nicer too, rather than the line he basically, which is supposed to be that lead-in line for him with when he's talking to his sister about, you know, if someone says something that, you know, that's nearly impossible, it's most likely a lie, and that's kind of supposed to lead like, oh, he's gonna stay back, but also he's monsterfying. Sarah, how did you feel about our new our Glasses boy in this version?
He was much more of a dick than he was in the webtoon.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that on the fact that I think that he's also as much as a dick in the webtoon, but we don't see him actually be the dick as much as we see him being like, no, he's constantly making a plan to try and get the best results for everybody, knowing that, you know, some people are going to die.
He was good at planning things though, for sure.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, as for the actor who played as him, he did a great job too.
Yeah, I think he did a rather decent role. I definitely think that his portrayal was really one-to-one with the character that they had. Did his sister seem like more of a pain in the ass in this version?
No, I hate. Okay, I'll say this. I think the actress was good, and like
I think the actress was good. Yeah.
But I think she was so much more annoying in this version. I was like, I don't remember in the webtoon that she was this annoying, right?
I don't
remember. A little bit more sympathetic in the webtoon, just a little bit.
And also in the webtoon, I don't remember the bits where like she was like this, like that's why I thought it was like you were right when like when the gangster guy goes and saves the nurse, right, to try to save her, and I was like, is this just so like no one can say that like he and also the younger sister had this weird thing earlier, where I was like, we know that she's like underage, right? Yes. And like we definitely know that he is. Yes. Yeah. Are we just going to ignore this? No, don't worry. There's someone else now. Just randomly, there's just someone else who
there's someone else for him to hit on. So we don't have to worry about that. Yeah. I think that was a change for the sake of, we don't want to go through this with everybody, so they flopped those they flopped those romance relationships around to be more acceptable for audiences. But I don't remember her being so much of an asshole in the webtoon. Like, it's not just to her brother. She does it to everybody.
Yeah, I think it's because they make it so that she has more speaking lines.
Maybe.
And she interacts with people more often,
I guess.
Because, like you said, it's you know, it's horror, then it becomes a drama, and then, like I said, then it becomes like a superhero movie. Okay.
Yeah. And, like, I was gonna bring that up for the some of the themes that are thrown through this. I know that Sweet Home, at least in the webtoon, definitely stays more on the horror elements, a lot stronger and a lot longer. This one, I think after episode 3 or 4, it drops almost all of the horror elements, and then it just becomes a drama. And then, like you said, at the end, towards the end there, it picks up and it turns into a superhero movie.
Yes. And my comparison was what New Mutants wanted to be.
Oh. Is it what they wanted to be? Are you sure that's what they were shooting for?
Guys,
Did you get it? Did you have a one-to-one sit-down interview with the director and writer?
That it definitely feels like this is what it wanted to be.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that, like switching genres so much just within that short amount of time. I think a horror and a drama are perfectly fine to match up between one another, but yeah, that the last change at the end just made me go, what the hell? I think I texted you right when I got to episode 8, and I just went, I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore.
Yeah, and then when you finished, you're like, Chew, this is so different and wrong. I'm so confused. I was like, oh yeah, Sephiroth ring.
Yeah, I was watching.
No longer the night.
I was watching this with my girlfriend, and even she was like, I don't know what's going on, and I'm like, I don't either. And I've been watching this for like 3 hours.
So, okay, if I remember correctly, in the webtoons, the night connection wasn't just because he was a knight, but also because of the anime they were watching, right?
Yeah, it was all connected into the. Which is one thing I also is also gone from this version. The connection between glasses and MC. Was it Hyun?
Hyun.
Hyun?
Yeah, the MC's name is Hyun.
Yeah, Hyun. That connection is completely gone in here. They removed the whole them playing the video game together between the floors. To show like how they're speaking, and then them both being
a movie.
Yeah, and then them both being just massive weeb nerds on this one anime, and they don't make a mention at all of the anime in this.
Yeah, which was important because that's what he becomes in the end. Because he's like, because I'm a knight, just like how it is in the anime. Cool, great. So there's that connection there. Here, when he becomes the one wing thing, and I was like, okay. Where did this symbol come from? And I would be fine with this change if you could at least justify where this symbol came from. Can you explain to me where the symbol came from?
Yeah. I'd say at this point we could probably move into the bad.
The abusive husband, when he turned into like cousin It,
the hair monster,
cousin It, and I was like, all right. Is this supposed to be like the implication that like early on in the first episode he was like, no, don't fuck with my wig? Like, is this what that is? Because he never made it another point later on that his wig was that important. Like
there was no desire for him to have hair.
Well, that's what
I didn't see that.
Well, that's the thing that missed from the webtoon because of the removal of the shadow versions of them. He does have an argument when he's discussing this with his desire side, with his other self, that he goes like, what do you want the most? And he says, I want hair. That is the one thing he wants. And because that's gone, it seems really weird when he suddenly gets it when he monstrifies, other than those few scenes where you see him like he like fusses with his hair a little bit, but he doesn't like outwardly speak like people only respect me because I have this.
He fusses with it once. If what it is was like whenever he like bitched about something, he was always correcting his wig or something, then like I would understand. Do you understand that? But like it's not done enough for me to consider that that the important thing about him was his hair. All right, it's not like Pretty Boy who always went to the fucking bathroom and always was like, no, I'm pretty.
Well, or, and, he like actually bitches out loud like, oh, I'm not gonna take one shower a day, my skin will dry out.
Yeah, like you know what his complex is. You know what everyone else, like you understand when someone turns into a monster, what their complex was that turns them into a monster. Like even when the gangster guy gets pulled technically into the fire but out of the fire by the hand monster, right? You get they at least cut to his diary so you understand why he became a hand monster, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all you need to do is just give me a little bit more as to explain like what was the trigger for these things. That's all it is. Like, so that I know that like at this point everyone understands that it is human desire because it was spoon-fed exposition to you.
I
But
mean, there's something that shows it off. They didn't give anything for the speedster, the slime person, which is supposed to be a kid, the slime kid. They don't say anything for him either, but they cut out that part that connects that so much that I don't think that there was a way for them to actually like put it in anymore. So, you know, we get maybe one or two of them for like, the big hand guy.
No. We had plenty of time. You know how we had plenty of time? Maybe instead of wasting time on like all this extra stuff and like you were going to do a second season anyways, you had plenty of material that you just cut out to get to like a second season.
Okay. Let's not jump into. We're not jumping into
now.
fixes yet. Yeah, there's that's not one of the only like down things I've had, and I'm definitely on the cons part right now. That I had issues with. The other things that I came across that definitely did not sit well with me overall was a lot of the like the world itself. It didn't make sense. Like one scene we're shown like where we see Hyun like looking out the window, we just see monsters crawling around the building, and you know, you're like, okay, you guys are really trapped. They make the comment of like, yeah, we can't go in the basement, it's locked off, there's monsters in the basement. They clear out the whole building. We see people just walking up and down the stairs perfectly fine at one point, even though in the webtoon there's monsters roaming the halls constantly.
It's that the world establishes itself, and then the characters
they break that. They break it really fast.
Just ignore the rules of the world they've built.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they break it really fast. Like the one lady's daughter running back in or running towards the building. Like, aren't there supposed to be monsters just everywhere? How the hell are you surviving? The firefighter literally just walks to the motorcycle, starts it, and just rolls off with no problems all the way to the facility she gets to. I'm just like, wait, I thought the world is in literal chaos. How are you just cruising? Yeah, just those subtle things that broke it did not sit well with me. Seraph, do you got anything in there that broke off for you in this one?
I don't know. Seraph enjoyed it first, and then we started complaining about it, and then he's slowly thinking about it now.
We shattered the glass.
Did I really enjoy it?
We shattered that glass. Like, but what about this?
I was thinking about it, but now I'm thinking about it, and now nothing makes sense. My worldview is shattered.
Yep.
You're
gonna have to skip me on this one, boss.
How do we feel about Wook's character changing? He's an officer in the webtoon, and in this one, he's just
the big
random
for
mercenary.
For the officer gangster, the mercenary guy, like that kind of bugged me. Like it gave him a lot more character in the webtoon, seeing as how he's a cop and he could assess the situation and everything. While in this one, he's just like, I'm just gonna walk around and kick people in walls.
Yeah,
I'm just a gangster with a burn mark on my right cheek, but then later, either I'm possessed or I am a monster now, and I no longer have that deformity. And I was like, what?
I don't
it's
know.
crazy to see that deformity disappear, especially because like with Hyun, we still see his scar.
He still has the
scars. He's like half
Yeah.
monster, you know.
Yeah, that
like why didn't his heel?
Why didn't his healer come up? Yeah, I didn't like that Wook like seems to have less lines in here. Like his
he did not have a lot of dialogue. And
he doesn't have a lot of dialogue,
honestly.
and I was like, what happened? What he was?
I forgot in the webtoon in the beginning. Did he go after that rapist, kidnapper guy? As well?
No.
No.
The only person
that was added in.
No, yeah, that was added in. He was an added in character. The only person he focuses on is when the escapee criminals show up, and Jin Sho, I believe that's what his name is.
Yes.
Or Jushin. He shows up, and he's the one that he starts getting like the murder kill boner for. He's like, oh no, I know this. This is the dude that's responsible for me no longer being on the force, kind of thing. But they give him that
I think what they did was because they took out the cop, they replaced it with the firefighter as a figure of authority.
As a figure of authority. I mean, they had two figures of authority. It was her, and then he had the military guy in there.
You mean the military guy that immediately died? Yes.
He didn't immediately die.
That died within 2 minutes of him being on screen? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, granted, they also removed the other person of authority. She rides off after the 4th episode.
Yeah.
Bro, she literally hops on the motorcycle and leaves.
Yeah, like, okay, there's our other person of authority gone.
Anybody else think that the moment where like the daughter that shows up and runs across the field and then suing the military dude runs towards her, I thought that she had turned into
Yeah, I
a
thought that
monster.
she was a monster and that was her, like, it was a trick.
Yeah, and she had, and like, I thought that would have been way more poignant,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Or
I
am
thought that would
wrong?
have been way better. Well, I think that would have been way better personally as an idea for the plot and the movie itself, but it played for what they wanted to write because it gave a reason for the mother to like hate glasses. That's all it was.
I think she still could have hated him afterwards,
She
realizing
still
that-
could have, but it would have been like it would at least have shown off that like his him being an asshole and his dick nature. Like when she's like, my daughter's real close, I can just go get her, and he goes, no. Do you know how you are gonna survive? How are you gonna get out there? How are you gonna do this? What's the plan? And he's like reeling off these things, like why everything she's trying to do is just a stupid thought. And then, you know, the daughter just runs up and you're like, oh, well, I guess you were wrong. She literally was able to make it this far. She had no problems, apparently, you know, and then for her to die from the monster, it doesn't reinforce like, oh, if we had been out there to help her, we could have. Where if instead that she was a monster, it would have been like, oh, you see that he was right. Granted, it's cold-hearted, but he's actually like thinking ahead about this rather than just completely thinking with an emotion. And I think that would have like played to that strength a little more. Like people would like, okay, maybe, you know, even when he's being cold-hearted, he's not, because that cold-heartedness is constantly the reason that him and the firefighter butt heads all the time. You know, when he's, you know, also when the power goes out and he goes, someone's got to go down and fix it, and we see him like move a screen to like show that there's a monster down there, and she volunteers, and then she comes back and punches him in the gut because like, you knew this, you're a dick, and it's like, yeah, but it needed to be done. That's that side rant of that, but yeah, that little thing that just like these little subtle things in there that don't like, why do this could have added so much more, this could have done this a little better. You know, well, it's those ideas that they did do something different, but it's like it didn't really serve maybe the purpose exactly what I thought it was supposed to, or what it kind of could have done instead.
It just didn't serve a purpose to the story at all.
Yeah,
like, it was just like there.
Yeah, very much. I think my biggest point is the very episodes 8 and 9 where the gangsters finally show up, and they are literally gone after their appearance.
They show up and die.
They show up and die. I'm like,
and they had such a bigger impact of a role in the webtoon.
Yeah, it was. They 100% just tossed them out because they wanted to go with this new ending. I was just like, did you even need to have them appear? Like, honestly,
was there a reason for them to do this
other than to introduce this other monster who is a full monsterized?
No, the thing that they could have changed was like, oh hey, they show up and they're like, oh hey, I remember the because the gangster guy, right, the mercenary guy, they're like, oh, you were part of that so-and-so gang too, like with us, and they're like, oh cool, is this where we're going with this? And they was like, no, immediately just die with no, and I was like, oh okay, so there was no purpose to these characters at all. Even now, why are we doing this?
Well, we needed a reason to be able to kill off this character and to shoot a few other people because we need to get these numbers down, because a lot of these people are dead in the comic and we don't have anything to do with them. So I don't want extras just walking around the set that I have to pay. So let's try and get this number down to a closer size. It was just such an odd thing to change. Like, I don't know why they went that far. Why would you even add them? It didn't do anything to like enhance the story in any way, or it really, if anything, it just brought in this other character so they could change the theme to what you said are with them going in the superhero direction. That's literally what this shift was for, and nothing more. I'm guessing that also the monster is supposed to be a stand-in for the perfect or the real humans in the webtoon. That's what he's supposed to simplify.
It's New Magneto.
Oh god, I didn't say it. At least.
I know you didn't say it. You knew I was going to
stay quiet.
I know, but
let me give you the speech like that Magneto would. We're the next evolution of humanity because humans have failed. And I was like, oh, you're giving me the Magneto speech. I don't know why you are, but okay.
So are
You do you, I guess.
are you saying Hyun is Charles Xavier?
Yes.
Very very broken, mentally broken Charles Xavier.
There are monsters that don't hurt humans. Oh, okay.
But what about the other way?
Yeah, right. But humans not hurt monsters. Dude, yeah, but that's like saying like there aren't any monsters that hurt humans. There are a shit ton of monsters that hurt humans already. Like you'd have to convince the rest of the monsters to not hurt humans in the first place. You do that first, and then we can have the rest of this discussion. Okay,
Yeah,
like
I think
like that argument made no sense. Where the new Magneto was going with that. I was like, yeah, but they were already killing humans.
I think the last 3 episodes are supposed to be like longer, and they wanted like a couple more episodes to like flesh out the rest of that, because yeah,
Which perplexed me. I felt like there should have been 12 episodes, but then we're missing 2 episodes for like stuff.
Yeah, for like this in exchange, like he shows up, they kill the gangsters, he makes this declaration of the new humans and monsters need to take over or do their own thing. And he gets the friction back of like it's not like that. He's proven once, even though there's dozens examples against his argument. And then for some reason, just no reason whatsoever that I can think of, he starts just shooting people, like out of nowhere.
He gets his way, and then he just shoots people, and then you're like, I feel like this is how you don't get your way. I was
like, wait a minute, is there like a shot that was cut or a piece of dialogue that I missed that explains why he's doing this? Like the whole thing of him is he wanted to get Hyun to join him. He wanted him to leave and join him on his quest to make Monstertopia, I guess. I don't know. He gets the wish, and then
monster, okay.
What's
or
up?
Asteroid monster.
Asteroid monster. Shut up.
Oh,
That's literally Asteroid M, motherfucker.
It is Asteroid M.
You're the worst. But he gets his way, and then out of nowhere, he just starts shooting people, and I'm like, why? What? I'm confused.
There's no reason for this, sir.
You won. You got what you wanted. And you're just like, no, I want to make sure that everything burns in the wake too. I guess. I don't know. It was such an odd, the story needed this weird fight to happen, and this is the only way we could think of to put it together. So
I needed another villain, even though he was already becoming a villain, but like I need him even more villain. And I was like, but you don't need that, because you also have the military, who at this point is also a villain. You clearly made multiple villains. No, I need an ultimate villain.
I honestly thought that the soldier was supposed to be the other monster guy who flips between his personalities, because when he shows up, he like starts eating the food, and then he starts freaking out, and he goes, you all need to run, and it looked like he was like starting to transform or something, and then he just gets knocked the hell out, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he was supposed to be the monster, but then this new guy shows up. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're the actual monster. That's all right. I see how this goes. Yeah. Just to say, yeah, there clearly is setting up for a second season, and all the spoilers right now. The way that the story ends with, Hyun transforming, subduing the other monster guy, and then he just fucks off, and the military gets called into the building. And what were they even what was their orders? They were supposed to be there to get them, to escort them and to capture the one monster, right?
Yeah, they were there to go and find our main character.
Yeah. So instead, instead they just
the single grenade goes off. Then they're like, "Oh no, there's they have weapons. Shoot them now!" And I was like,
they just fire into the building. They're not shot at, and the explosion clearly sounds like it's underground or far away. So they're just like, these are weapons. I'm like, well, the city's infrastructure is falling apart. That could just literally be a cave-in or an explosion from a gas tank or any of these things. But they're just like, weapons, and they just fire into the building. They also added line here. They also added thing in it that's different from the webtoon is that the old man is telling them a story at one point, and it's about the war that happened prior. And he talks about how a bunch of soldiers ran into this building, they were being shot at, and then the enemy came in and all the soldiers were gone, and they didn't understand. And then he just starts, for some reason, digging in the area where they had started making graves, and he just continues to dig for whatever reason, and that ends up leading them to a hidden underground tunnel system, which obviously is guessing that that's where all the soldiers used to escape. But they they all escape from there, but Hyun just decides to stay behind for some reason as well. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing either. Like, does he state like he doesn't actually say anything like, I'm gonna be a distraction or a decoy till you get out or anything? I believe he doesn't even know about the tunnel, does he?
I thought at least at that point Glasses was going to tell him, like, hey, can you go buy time because everyone else is escaping down there? And I thought that's what his line was going to be when he sees him before he leaves out there, right? But that's not what happens.
No, that's not what happens.
Why did you even go back to him if you weren't going to tell him anything important? I'm so confused. I know you're becoming a monster, you fear becoming a monster, but like, I'm confused at this point here.
Yeah, a lot of the characters' motivations and storylines just kind of start flying off into nothingness at this point. Like, they don't have a reason for what they're doing anymore. They get in the tunnel system and they just start running away. I'm like, okay, what's the plan? Are you trying to get somewhere else, or is it just to escape, or is it, what's the idea of what you guys are even doing in here? Because they like end up going up to like one of the street fences and just like, this is clearly the way that we were supposed to go, and it just leads them right into the military. I'm like, okay, so what was this plan? Exactly.
No, even more than that, they knew the military was up there, right? Because the helicopter flew up there, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't think they did.
There was a helicopter that flies overhead over the hole
over
beforehand.
Over the the grate.
Yes.
I mean, I guess. I don't know if they actually knew. There's no shot of them, like an establishing shot showing like the firefighter like realizes that, oh no, they're right up there or anything. Because when she gets up, she's kind of like, oh, you're all here. Why? And then that's when the guy's like, I pressed the button, I called them, they're here to save us. And they're like, why would you do that? That's shocking. Because that would just ruin that whole scene too.
Okay, so also that when they were in the tunnel, is it implied that they were in the tunnel for 5 days?
Is it?
Because what happens is Hyun looks at his calendar and it says August 25th, like then, suicide date, right?
Yeah.
And so that's supposed to be that day, right? And then they get and then like everything happens and
is
then they
it?
get
Because I could have sworn that was in the past. Because he makes a comment in one of the other episodes. No, it's the episode when he's when they're in the garage. When they're in the garage and they're taking the reinforced vehicle up, he has that monologue where he states, I'm doing this now. Today was the day I was supposed to kill myself. So that should have been the 25th. So unless this is all happening on that same day.
Because I was confused as to why he would, because at that point he had,
well, after he modified, he memory wiped, or I guess.
Yeah.
And he
yeah,
he was just flipping through.
Not just about the amnesia bit. So the part that really I found hilarious, the part that I found the most hilarious was like this. All right, guys, I disappeared for 5 minutes to go give myself a haircut, and then shit goes downhill. What the fuck happened? Did anybody else think that was funny? Because I thought that was hilarious. He was like, all right, guys, it's ready for me I'm ready to change. I'm gonna cut my hair so I can be pretty boy, and I'm fine. I'm ready to move on with my life. And then he comes out and then shit happens. And he's like, I was gone for 5 minutes.
What the fuck did you all do? I mean, isn't 5 minutes enough time for the kids to like half destroy a house? Isn't that exactly how that goes?
I guess.
I went to the bathroom and there's a fire in the corner. Your other brother is bleeding and I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he's chewing on something. What did you do? I don't know. There's so many little odd things that happen after the like 5th to 6th episode that just start to derail all the good the first 4 episodes were doing. I just don't know why this direction change just needed to occur, that they gave us, you know, Metal Wing Sephiroth, the hidden underground tunnel. I mean, they could have just had like Harriet pop up. I see y'all was looking for somewhere to escape. Come on down. They'll never find you here. There were so many just odd things they started adding in that just made no sense all across the board.
When did the guy that they captured and they chained him up and told him, hey, don't move from this spot?
When did he get free? I don't know. They never make mention of him escaping. He just got away.
Yeah, he got away and it was somehow in the tunnel, and I looked up like, when did he escape? I'm so confused.
Did they or what happened?
I mean, that's where I'm like, I feel like they shot and then they just deleted some scenes and forgot to put them back in places that kind of connected these parts of the story.
And they rewatched like, we forgot this.
Yeah,
bit.
like I feel like
shoot.
someone's watching this and just going, wait a minute. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. And the overall end of it where, you know, they get picked up by the military and then I don't know. Well, the deal was the firefighter and then the I guess I'll call her the military commander made a deal that she would use the beacon to direct them to where Hyun was, and she goes, well, you're not the one that pressed it, so therefore our deal's off. And the whole thing was that she was going to get information about her husband.
She doesn't even say completely that the deal is off. She just goes, oh, you're not the one who pressed it, so obviously you don't have him with you. The deal is still on. And I was like, wait,
the deal was canceled.
How is the deal even still on?
I thought you said the deal was canceled.
No, she says the deal is still, like, the deal was never, like, the deal is still on. She literally goes, the deal isn't off yet. Like, it's still on the table or something like that. And I was like, wait, is that why you guys hired her and made her also a soldier? And I was like, that makes even less sense because she's fucking pregnant. What? Like, I would be like, oh yeah, let's entrust this pregnant woman with fighting monsters now. And I was like, I feel like this is a bad plan. Like, I know you guys are like supposed to be incompetent soldiers, but this is really fucking incompetent.
I mean, it's not like she's shown any concern about it either, really. Like, especially after the one lady was like, I think that something might be up here, take this. And she's like, I know now, you know, you should be keeping yourself warm. You should be caring about, you know, your body now because, you know, you're going through this. And she's just like, nope, fuck that. Do just do every dangerous thing I can think of.
My fiance is more important than the baby that he left in me. And I was like, I feel like this is counterproductive.
I mean, everything in this has been counterproductive in a lot of ways, so why not just continue the list?
Like I said, man, ain't nothing but a coat hanger can't fix.
Aww.
Wow, that was, man, I'm not even that dark yet. So it's fine, whatever, guys.
You're not that dark yet? All right, well, we have a song for you to listen to. Yeah.
I'm not openly that dark yet, so there's two different things.
Okay. Yeah, just I don't know, and then Hyun is just shot up by the military, and I guess they just fuck off after shooting him because they wasted too many bullets. I don't know, but he's picked up by Wook now, who we all collectively agreed was the slime monster possessing Wook's body. But the line he gives is like, I haven't seen you in a long time. And I'm like, well, the slime monster just left him the night before, so. And Wook's been dead for at least a day now, a day or two. So is this monstrified Wook or is it slime or why did the military leave Hyun there? Like if this was their whole goal.
The whole goal was to capture him, and they even after they shot him, they knew he was still standing up. They knew he was a fucking monster, right? Like even if they didn't know he was a monster, why would they not go down there and check if he was a monster, right? Because the whole goal was to capture him. So like they were just like, no, just ignore the goal, guys. What?
I don't know.
Why would you do this?
They just threw that all away. They just the whole purpose for them was just whatever anymore. Who gives a shit? I honestly don't know. I think someone like was reading through the script and then someone accidentally liked ripped a few pages and then stuck them back in random spots. And they're just like, all right, well, this is the next scene we're supposed to shoot in. Oh, okay, I guess. And then they just kept going and they didn't realize everything was out of order. Yeah. I'd say we could get ready to close up everything, but overall, just how do we feel for this adaptation? I know you said you gave it a 5, I gave it a 6.5, and you gave it a 7, Surf, I think, right?
Changed mine to like a 6.5.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the party.
A 6.5 about.
Honestly, I say anyone who, if they're watching it or wants to watch it, watch up till episode 4, stop, and then go read the webtoon for the rest of it.
And then go back to watch it so
to see where the problem,
where we're coming from here.
Yeah,
you know. I feel like she cut this out and put this in the beginning.
I hope someone does like a video commentary, or at least a splash one, of like just analyzing and breaking down this whole series and takes a look at it and just like, yes, do you see all the spots where we were like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Let's
What?
talk about the thing that I think ruins the pacing of, or at least the aesthetic of the show. Imagine Dragons.
Oh God,
Bro, when they played
I
Warriors,
totally
bro,
forgot
I was
to.
like,
I didn't want to bring that up.
I played it 3 times. I counted 3 times. Did I miss count?
I think there was a
counted at least
4.
3 times.
Was
it 4?
Because there's one in the second episode with the samurai.
There's one in the first episode, second episode with the samurai, right?
There's
And
there's another one. I know there's one with the firefighter when she like rams Bro down.
Yeah,
but then
third
there is another one, and I think it's when he's battling Homeboy with the wing.
Oh, is it there?
I think there's one there too.
Because okay. I don't know who chose music for the show, okay, but this is not music that is supposed to fit in like a horror-based show, okay, dude. What the is going on?
I mean,
I don't know.
It's a horror
right,
drama
right?
superhero story. So
yes. When I first heard it, I was like, I first checked if I had YouTube playing in the background or something. Or something that like went off. Like I was like, did I open a page that's like playing music in the background somewhere? No, this is actually coming from this. I'm like, oh, what?
Why? What? Wait, where? What? Who? What? Yeah, it was really weird. The first time it was like, okay, odd music choice, but you have music cues all over in there that are perfectly good to the actual moment. But the second time I was like, usually they buy and have different scores that they use throughout. They just have this one. I'm like, okay, you did this again. And then the third time I'm like, oh, okay, so this is our thing. So anytime there is a tense fight moment, this is the music you guys chose. And they just played that every time, and I was like, oh, goddamn.
I could have had at least 4 or 5 different tracks for every fight.
You know, like, I don't know where the rest of the budget went. If it was the moment they're like, okay, we're doing this really killer
shit, man. They could
3D
even bought the rights to Sephiroth's theme.
Yeah, literally.
At the end battle, bro.
The end battle could have been that. Like, they busted all the money budget on that like last CG shot. They're like, we don't got anything else. We gotta go. We can only play. We only could afford the Imagine Dragons scene, but the Warriors. So we're gonna use that over and over again. Not to mention we didn't even speak on that. The monsters, the CG shots on this.
Ooh.
I think
some of them were pretty fucking fire.
Some of them were good. Some of them were a little
off.
I think when they did a lot of the close-up shots for the monsters, where they're either moving slow or they're doing, those were perfectly good. But when it was like the full body or them getting attacked, that's where things kind of looked really a little ugly.
Got a little choppy.
It got a little off, where I was like, okay, this isn't real. This is not in the same world you're in. But yeah, no, I think that they did fairly well with the monsters they chose. They did put in some of the exact monsters that were in there. We didn't get the flight monster. We got the giant eye. We got ear, half a head, and we got protein. They added in
the tongue guy.
Oh yeah, with the tongue guy. They added in the spider monster, because I don't believe that was in the webtoon.
Yeah, I don't think so too.
They did bring in the I don't know if I call him the janitor, the superintendent of the building.
Oh yeah,
He
the
showed
security
up,
guard guy
but he
or
gets
whatever.
taken out pretty quickly. They didn't have the flyer. They had the slime monster. Pretty Boy didn't transform, so they didn't get do you find
Get
me attractive?
handsome.
They didn't get handsome. They got hands, and they got the speedster. There were a bunch of other monsters in the basement, but they're really hard to make out, so I couldn't see all of them.
The same.
Were they all just the same? They're just kind of just generics.
Yeah, and then like there was like some unique ones, like the girl with the mini eyes and the
Yeah.
cleaver in her hand, you know.
Yeah, there were a few, but like they did a nice job of switching between going to practical effect and then CG. So I think that that was okay. I think
A lot of
monsters-
the closer scenes, like the close scenes, like when they were in the car, I thought that was done pretty tightly.
yeah, like when
And then,
everything,
like,
like I
some of
said,
the
when everything
stairwell
was like
scenes were
shot
pretty
up
cool.
close, they were good. Like we got to see all of like the monsters like truly grotesque forms. That was cool. But when it was like Protein, when he kind of walked and stuff, I think they did a good job on the animation, make him look big. But it definitely got silly when he was just super big.
No, it seemed like he was like, he was just like a balloon walking or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
You're like,
Somebody's at my door. Give me a second.
yeah. It was those little shots felt a little off and odd, but it's not the worst CGI I've seen by far in any movie. I think that they utilized it well enough. But yeah. I think we're all good. Do we get everything out that we wanted to speak on? Especially since you got to your Imagine Dragons there, Arc.
yeah, I guess.
Are you looking forward to the sequel or the second season? Are you just hoping it becomes like full Transformers monsters or Power Rangers monsters?
Oh. And I'm fine with Power Ranger monsters if we get full on like just monsters in suits. Can I get that? That'd be fine.
Maybe. But yeah, I think we're all good. I think we got everything out that we wanted to on this one. If you haven't watched it, if you're thinking about watching it, take a shot. Definitely give it a little bit. Like I said, up to 4, you're good. If anything, hopefully it intrigues you enough to go and read the whole webtoon. That one I think was pretty well done all the way through. The ending gets a little sketch for some, but I think it was perfectly fine for what it gave us. But yeah, anything else that you wanted to add there, Seraph? Gonna close out. All right.
I think we talked about a lot.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining us on this Relevant Ramblings. Hopefully you enjoyed everything. If you did, go ahead, definitely give us a like. Leave us some comments below what you thought of the whole series. How'd you like the changes? How'd you like some of the things that stayed the same? Definitely give us links for other music you would rather have played rather than Imagine Dragons for some of these scenes. We know our friend actually synced up what was it?
No, it synced up
He
Radioactive.
synced Radioactive and it was way better.
The first thing, because it made way more sense when they're talking about like the apocalypse.
Yeah,
and also,
yeah. I see him do that. Someone go sync up the Sephiroth theme track to the whole fight scene there. See if that works out. I think it'd be cool.
Oh man. Okay.
But yeah.
This is the best.
But definitely
Done.
subscribe to us if you want to get more content, like always. But I'm gonna close this out here. It's your big man Sleepy.
It's your boy Sarah here.
And this is Arc Dragoon out.
Take it
Take
easy,
care, ladies
folks.
and gentlemen. Bye.